Quite a few Duggar boys here. Big old bulls. Looks like at least 11 or 12 of them. Oh, nice. As always, you do have a little bit of who's who in between the members of the group as well. It's a fantastic herd this they have. Some really big guys in them. Physically some of the biggest bulls you'll ever see. The guy we're looking at now is very, very bulky. Pardon me. Pardon me again. So there's some really big boys in this herd. Guys that will definitely have fathered calves before and will do so again in future. And there's also two of our characters here. I can see Seesaw in the background. We'll have a look at him just now, but one that I'm quite glad to see. See the judge up there? It's nice to see him alive and well. Fantastic to see this guy again. He's the first buffalo we started looking at as an individual, and when it comes to physical size he's up there with any of these bulls, but he's lacking those, well, the extensions of his horns. It's walking quite uncomfortably there. I wonder what is. We've been lying down for a bit and he's a little bit stiff in the legs. It's good to see he's all well. I just want to go around a little bit. There's still a bit of interaction between some of those other bulls. Behind the bushes from us to see if we can get a better view. This is a nice group of Duggar boys at the visit camp. See, this mud is getting so sloppy and slushy. Oh, that guy that's looking straight onto us is quite cool. The one standing in the water and the one just behind him. Really is perfect place for these buffalo just to cool down in. Still quite a few of them further back lying down in the water. We'll go have a look at them just now. All the boys taking it easy around the waterhole. That's probably the youngest one in the group by the looks of it, the one in the bottom right there. And there's the judge coming down for a, I wonder what he's coming down for. A drink? Maybe a bit of a wallow. Doesn't look like he's been in the mud yet. Grumpy old men all lying around the waterhole. So I'm going to sit here a little bit with them. See if there's any more interaction between a lot of them. It looks like basically most of the day or most of the hot part of the afternoon they would have been around the waterhole here. Like I said, some of them still lying in the water. Good place to cool down. Quite often as they get active now, it's starting to cool down a bit for the afternoon. As they start stretching and moving around, you might get a bit of interaction, just two bulls just reminding each other of who's stronger. Maybe just two old guys that have known each other for a long time, just horn wrestling and sparring a bit, keeping those fighting skills honed for the time when they need to compete again, or for the time they need to get females. us a sniff, testing the breeze. It's sort of coming a little bit from us towards them. I'm sure they could pick up the odd bit of scent from us. Couple more minutes. Sure, quite soon as well they'll have to start moving again. Just spend that last few hours of the afternoon getting the ruminants full again, or getting that main first compartment of their stomachs full of grass again, so that into the evening they can, wherever they decide to rest, lie down for the night, they can ruminate again, just re-chew that cud, make sure they get the most nutritional value possible from the food they eat. This guy was pushing his head into the mud just now. Also his body is nice and covered, but if you look at the horns there, the bosses especially, right on the forehead, nicely covered in mud. Now it could again be partially maybe to cool down a bit, but that'll be more for the general wallowing. Getting those horns in the mud is just a combination of a few things. Most likely, first and foremost, practical reason would be that they just get that nice rough sand and mud stuck on the horns. Later on he'll go and rub it up against a tree trunk or a branch, clean off that mud and clean off the dead cells on the horns as well. It's just a good sort of taking care of his horns, I guess you can call it, or sort of sanitary clean almost of the horns. And there's also a little bit of a display value in it when he's pushing his head into the mud and showing his agility. The other buffalo can see that that guy's not too old yet. Bit of attitude. This guy we're looking at there that I was going in on is shaking his head, and just the way he's moving is he's just letting the other bulls know that he's still one of the contenders, one of the top dogs in this group. It's interesting, he's shaking his head and one of the other bulls shaking his head back at him instead of giving each other the nod. That guy there as well. Make no mistake, the buffalo that we're looking at in the middle of those three doesn't have the biggest horns I've ever seen, but physically he's quite strong. Have a look at this other guy again. He's just turned. It's almost like he's wanting to remind all the big bulls who he is. Very, very large guy. They just look at his build, look at his shoulders and his flank. Really is a solid buffalo. You notice they're all walking on a footpath there. If you look carefully, you'll see there's a straight line path there just along the edge of what would have been mud only a few weeks ago, and probably will be mud again soon, maybe after the next day or two when we get all this rain.